All right, folks, back on the 1972 C20 in Avalon Green. Now, I know our focus was going to be on getting this air conditioning done, and we've come back a long way. Got the inner fender in and the core supports all back on, so we're getting there. I want to assemble this so my hoses all go where they need to go. Now, I've coated the bottom side of this. I haven't coated the top on purpose because I want it to fit where it wants to fit. Then I'll go in and coat the inside. I wanted to coat the outside or underside first because you get in every nook and cranny better that way. I'm not so worried about under the hood, so we'll do that later. I said it later. But right now I want to get this fender on so you guys can watch me struggle with that. And if it doesn't turn out, we just won't post this video. So I'm going to grab that fender. We get that back on, we can make some headway. I pretty much wanted to get it off my table and get it back on the truck so it doesn't get beat up, knocked off. We need to focus on the 1971 C10 in Spanish gold because the bearings in the steering column fell out of it last week, and I want to drive it. This is a little further out. So we're going to get this fender on right now, and then we're going to jump over there and see what we can do over there. That wasn't so bad. I know we're not there yet, but we're almost there. I know you can't see. I have a couple of shims over here I have to put in. I kept track of them. I'm putting back exactly what came out, so it should be fine. Oh, these are split shims. If you drop them, they'll fall down into the fender well. So put your bolt in first. I'll show you, but I'm kind of in the way right now. I've got to hold pressure on this so it don't fall. Come on, get up there. I've just got those bolts started. I want to attach this front so it doesn't drop. I have a bolt sitting there. I was prepared this time. Go figure. That's not like me. Lots of wiggling around on these. I'm struggling. Can you guys see that bead of sweat going down my back? Come on. Once you get, oh, I got it. I got it. Just barely got it. Once you get a couple bolts started, you're in there. It's not falling on the floor. You can still move. Now everything's loose on purpose. The whole front's still loose. This is loose. You want to be able for things just to kind of find their happy place, so leave them loose. Anyway, here's my shims. I just remembered to put these by this one. They go behind the fender. All right, and then these two up here, I remembered. Huh, how can they be stuck together? Look at that. That's different. I never had them stuck together. I don't know how the bolt went through there. I guess you can pull it out, but I can't get it back in there. So let's see if I can knock these loose. Okay, I've got them loose. They were stuck right together for some reason, but these go here. You just drop them in. Well, it kind of just disappeared on me. And I got to get two in this one. And it's a shorter bolt, go figure. But we'll be okay. I got that. I got that right here. but I don't have my wrench. Doggone it. So a little, just wrong one, that's why. Okay, now I'm ready. Back that off a little bit. Got a little too much, but that's okay. I got a magnet right here. I'm prepared only because I dropped the bolt on this side. If you don't have one of these, they're cheap. Buy one. They make the springy ones. This one's a solid one, just something. You fish stuff out before you got to go tearing apart. Oh, I made it look easy. Usually stuff I make look hard. That never goes that good, but I'm grateful it did. Again, we're going to drop these two shims in. I'm going to do them together this time. Come on, get in there. It's always something, isn't it? Take a screwdriver. There, now they're seated good. I know my hand's not a hammer, but I was just bumping on it. Don't use your hand as a hammer. I've learned the hard way. And yet I still tend to do it a little bit. So we got these top ones and they should be right. I don't have the bottom bolt in my hand. Did I leave it in there? Nope, it's sitting over there. I can see it from now. And I'll get down there and pull that in. It feels funny, but our shim should have us lined up with the door. It looks out for some reason, but I haven't tightened those yet. I want to get that bottom one tight first and then make sure this inner and outer are lapped properly. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back. All right, folks, we got her in there. Woo! I got a little sweat going on. This takes a little while. I probably took a half hour doing this. The screws that go in along the wheel well area, they're always a struggle. I have yet to drill one out, meaning the aftermarket inner fender, the holes. You have to put in, what do they call those things? I don't know, scribe or something, centering punch to get into that clip and straighten it out with the inner fender. It just takes some finagling. What I've learned through experience of doing these the hard way, seems like always this beginning is the hard way, but the more you do something, the better you get at it. What I've learned, and this might be helpful to you, is once you set your fender on and you get your bolts in, everything loose. I can't tell you that enough. The two bolts that go under in here, they go into the fender from the bottom, straight up. They're just two. Large head, large washer. Put those in first. They'll tend to pull the two fenders pretty close to where they belong. I usually tighten them all the way down. That just kind of pulls the fender in place. Loosen them a whole turn. But now you've located that inner and outer together pretty good. Then I just go around your holes and put your centering punch in there and find out whichever ones are lined up the best. Put them in with your fingers. No wrenches, because you might cross thread them. This is the first one I've done without cross threading one. Now, when I say cross thread, you go in one turn and then it gets tight. Back out. Don't keep going. It won't cut new threads all the way through. Believe me, it'll just booger them all up. Don't think you're going to fix it later, because you won't. I learned the hard way. Anyway, get in the bolts that you can find that fit. The next one I focus on after these two, and I get generally two, maybe three of them will fit, and there's what, 7 or 8. I go to the back bottom, and that inner fender bolts straight up into the rocker. Again, that will help locate the rest of this area. And once that one's tight, or pretty tight, loosen it back off. You can still wiggle in here and keep prying around and figure out where all your bolts go in. Now I've got them all in. I just have to tighten them up. So I've got these all in, and I'm just going to go around. This is what I use. I'm going to go around and just start tightening them. And it doesn't really matter the specific order. I had to turn the wheel too for room for my wrench. Once they're in, just tighten them up. I've never had any more issues with them. And these don't need to be screaming tight. Poor guy, when he has to take us apart because he got in a little fender bender, he'll be mad. And that guy will probably be you. It's not like a body shop will even work on these. You're lucky if you can find a mechanic around to work on them. You kind of got to do all your own stuff on these old trucks or any old classic. That one, I'll come up here. Here's one. Just go around and snug them up. Now I'm backwards. All right. I don't know how snug I put these. Tight is tight. When it stops moving, there's no sense in forcing it. These are stainless, which are about equivalent to a number, 5 standard hardware bolt. Not bad. And I must have the wrong Allen wrench because this one fits perfect. And if you know what I mean with tools, they never fit perfect. I went and said that. Now, usually I can just let go of it. That thing will stay right in the hole. What's in here? Don't want to. What am I doing wrong now? As soon as I brag something up, that made me look stupid in front of my friends. Maybe the bolts weren't built perfect either. We're into that word perfect. Not really a word you could be using out here in the shop. That one I don't like. One more try and I'll get a different wrench. Well, I can use this. No, I can't use that end. It's almost there. That's a bad habit right there. If it don't work, don't keep going, Darren. Oh yeah, she's tight. All right. Oh, I'm missing one. And I already tightened all these. I'm sure it'll be fine. Let me grab one, see if it'll go in. Well, I wondered why I had one more of these on the bench. If somebody, me, must have counted them out before I started. Shouldn't have extra bolts, right? Okay, now we're shining into the front of the truck. And I got one I messed up in there. So my head's going to be in your way. And hopefully it goes in just smooth so I can look like I know what I'm doing. Look at that. I got it. Okay, folks, it don't always go that easy. Today I'm making things look easy. I know, it's not the normal me. I get it. You just have to watch one video of stuff going easier than it will for you. It's a struggle. Believe me, I had plenty of struggles today. There it is. Fits right in there. See? I don't want to scratch my inner fender. Ha! It's fun when you can get one like that when you're not supposed to or isn't normal. You know what I mean? Tighten this bottom one. This is one of the hardest ones to get down here on this lower part behind the bumper. I generally lean in with my thigh and manipulate it and push it. You can get it. I think if I ever cheated on one, it would have been down here. Don't remember if I had to, but I have had trouble with the bottom one before on some truck. I don't remember. This will be the last one under here. Yeah, I didn't count them all because there's a bunch. And that done. Okay, that's it for the 1972 C20 and Avalon Green. Well, for now, I got the fender on. It's out of my way. It's all bolted in. I did pull a shim out. I don't know what has changed or why. I'm going to keep it handy in case I need to put it back in. But it was the one by the door. Now, I guess I should have checked all my gaps before I started this project. That would have been a good idea. Maybe even take pictures of them. That'd be a great idea. But I just kind of live with do the best I can all the way through it. So why do I need to know if it was better before now? Because if I can't do it as good as before, I don't really want to know that. Just do the best you can. Anyway, I pull that shim out. I have a better gap here. The next shim is fine, but I'm going to wait and keep this handy. When you get the hood back on, this might need to be adjusted for the hood. So There might be a reason for that, but as for now, this looks better. The next thing I'm going to do in this, when I get back to it, because we're going to the 1971 C10 in Spanish gold. Yeah, that's steering again. Keep thinking about that. But we're going to tighten all these bolts up next. I'm going to put in the battery box. Then I can go back to working on my air conditioning, because the battery box is part of that air conditioning tubing, connects to the bottom of it. So that needs to go in. And we can get my wires straightened out, that kind of stuff. But that's it right now on the 72. If you like looking at this one, it's going to be a little while. Hopefully that job goes quicker. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I'll bring it back, but for right now, I got to go. All right, folks, we're going to do a little back to the basics here real quick. It deals with timing. If you have one of these older trucks with the 350 in there, which I prefer, I mean, I'm going to see how the LS swap thing goes. I get having a modern motor, but this is just a classic. It's something you can put a screwdriver on and adjust, versus a computer. When it decides not to run right, you just pay somebody all the time. There's trade-offs. So let's discuss how to do timing. And I don't want to get caught up in semantics. So I'll get you in a little closer and show you how to do this. But real quick, let's cover the reasoning. Again, semantics and truck mechanic language I don't care for. If you turn your distributor clockwise, they call it retarding the spark, which is opposite of what you would think, because it's going to spark later in the stroke, which I'll explain in a second. So you would think it's advanced. I don't know. But that's what they call it. I'm not going to use those words. I'm just going to talk about very simply how to do this and why to do this. So if you're starting your vehicle up in the morning, a carbureted motor, you always give it one pump to the floor and back. That sets your choke so it can start. It may start without doing that on a warm day, but in the winter it certainly wouldn't, or a cold day. So it's just a good practice to do it. You'll learn your truck and exactly what it likes once you get all this done. It's a little bit of back and forth. I think it's fun. A lot of guys that own these old cars think it's fun to be able to manipulate the timing and get the idle exactly where they want it. And each motor's different. People don't understand that. You can take two blocks that are identical, bore them both to 30 over, put the same stuff in them, same cam crank, pistons, everything the same. And when you get all done, the timing on those two motors very likely will not be the same. Nobody can really understand it. I guess they always say the builder did it a little bit different, just because they can't figure out why. It's because they have a personality. That's why. And every motor likes it a little different. Or the transmission may have a little more resistance in its torque converter than a different torque converter or tranny. So there's too many things to try and figure out why. Let's just move on what to do. So let's start with, why do you think your timing's off? I wouldn't go right to moving that thing if I were you. I would deal with my carburetor first, which Jeff and I worked on his, and that's what we did. It's still fine tuning. This one, the only fine tuning I did to it since I bought it was just these two screws in the front. They're the idle mixture, the air fuel mixture. Small adjustments made on those. I'm not covering that carburetor stuff today, maybe another day. But today, the distributor. So when you go to start your vehicle, don't worry about morning, night, doesn't really matter. If it starts hard, and when I say starts hard, I'm talking about mechanically, and you hear that starter go, rah, 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 it's kind of fighting it a little bit, that's because it's sparking too early in the piston stroke. If it sparks before top dead center, that flame from that gas and an air mixture starts burning before the piston gets to the top, which is necessary to start it burning, so that when it gets to the top and it's fully compressed, and that's when it wants to explode the most, it's already started its burn, and now the explosion happens and you get full power. If you start the spark too early, it'll get to full combustion, full burn before it gets to the top, and that's when you hear that pinging sound if you don't have too loud of exhaust like I do in a 71. Pinging's not good. It's called pre-ignition. It's firing too early, and that's pretty hard on your motor. You shouldn't leave it like that. If you have your motor tuned perfectly on a very hot day with some cheap gas in it, pulling a load, full throttle up a hill. You might hear a little pink, pink, maybe once or twice. That's not bad. You've almost got it tweaked perfect. So that gives you that gauge. If on the opposite thing, when you get into your truck to start it and it rolls over really easy, you've probably got your timing too far retarded. Let's not do that. Too far or too late in the stroke, which means if you start to spark at top dead center, it starts to burn. You're already piston's already headed down, and then it goes into full explosion and continues down, and it doesn't burn all the gas before it gets to the bottom and starts back up again. When you have leftover gas in your motor, when it's running, you may not notice that. You'll have a little lack of power because you're not getting the burn in its perfect spot for that full stroke, but you generally won't notice it. What you'll notice is when you turn it off, it diesels or it has a little run on. It'll kind of and then you'll hear it kind of spark knock then. That's every time the stroke goes down, it's still pulling vacuum through your carburetor. So it's still getting gas. Even though you turn the ignition off, there's no spark. But because that flame is still burning at the bottom of the stroke, there's still gas in there burning. When it comes up to the next time, it's able to fire again. So that's why it continues to run without any ignition, hence dieseling. A diesel doesn't have spark plugs and it continues to run with fuel. So that's where the name comes from. So now that I've discussed what and why you would even do this, now I got to discuss how. So let me get you in there. Okay, now that I got you in a little closer, this is what we're dealing with. Your distributor right here. Yours may look a little different, doesn't really matter. This is a coil on top versus a separated points and condenser. This is an electronic ignition distributor. Doesn't matter, yours is going to look basically the same. What you're looking at is to reach in here and grab this and turn it clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust your timing. There's something I didn't say, and we'll talk about it at the end. This one currently is not really tight, and I would run the vehicle for you, but I've got hoses unhooked and stuff, so I don't want to make a mess. So what I did is I tightened it down. I'll show you in a second. I tightened the bolt down just to where it won't move on its own, but I can reach in here and grab hold of it really firmly, and I can twist pretty hard, and I can get it to move a little. The reason I did that is because the timing was off on this truck when I bought it. And you just test drive it. You test drive it. You get the truck fully warm when you think you got it right, and then you just full throttle it on a hill or something and see if you can hear that spark knock. If you have spark knock, you need to move this counterclockwise a little bit to try and get rid of that spark knock. And just a tiny bit this way and that way. If you go too far that way and you start getting dieseling or lack of power, then you got to move it clockwise a little bit. So that's where we're at right now. Let me show you this bolt if I can reach in a different direction. The bolt you're looking to loosen is this one right there. I know there's not a ton of light, but I know you can also see it. You got the wires in the way. That's a 9/16 bolt. Now you might notice it's under the distributor and kind of in a precarious place. On this motor, I can get a wrench in there and loosen or tighten it. If you have tall valve covers, you're going to be more of an angle like this. And you'll need a special wrench that's shaped like a Z. It's a distributor wrench. So you can sneak in there and loosen it. Generally a box end wrench with a decent offset to it, you can sneak in there and get it. Or use a shorty wrench, that'll do it too. But you need to loosen that bolt, and it's just got a clamp like my fingers are shaped that holds down on the ring of the distributor. Loosen it a half a turn, maybe a full turn, depending on how old your motor is or how tight this distributor is. But you need to loosen that counterclockwise a half turn to full turn. That'll give you the ability to rotate this distributor. Again, don't loosen it all the way because then your distributor can just move around at will. The next thing you want to do, and this gets scary, if you got good spark plug wires and all, you can touch this and not get shocked. But while the motor is running, you need to make this adjustment. You can wear leather gloves if you want, but trust me, the spark will get through leather gloves too. Just being honest. And if you get sparked, they call it riding lightning. It's kind of a rite of passage. So don't fear it too bad. It's like touching an electric fence. It's not fun, but I don't want to scare you. You can reach in here, grab it where you want. If you have really big channel locks, you can bite on the housing and turn it. Whatever you need to do, I get it. I have seen people reach up here and grab this electronic leg that sticks out so you're not grabbing all the spark plugs, and you can push it and pull it this way. However you want to do the timing, the vehicle needs to be running, and because you can hear it, and you want to turn it clockwise or counterclockwise, very little, a 64th of a turn. I can't describe it so small. Just make it move enough you can feel that it moved, and listen to how the motor changed. Then shut the truck off. See if it has run on again. Start it back up. See how it starts. See if it starts too easy or if it's starting to do that really hard pulsing type start. So if your car runs on, or truck in this case, has a run on or dieseling, you want to turn this clockwise. Again, moving this particular spark plug wire, just barely move it to like right here. It's all you're looking at, like just the width of this spark plug wire in the clockwise direction. You can do it with a motor not running if this really bothers you and you're afraid to get shocked. I get it, folks. I totally get it. I'm not making fun of you. You can do it with the motor not running. It just might take you more trips back and forth. But again, turn that clockwise in your direction, Jeff. And everybody else, you have to determine which direction to turn it. If you turn it a little bit in the wrong direction and it runs even worse, then go the other way. Not that big of a deal. So there's how you adjust your timing to sound or to ear or to make it actually run the best for the truck. Now, folks, I've moved you to the driver's side of the vehicle. You can kind of see the alternator here. And I did that to show you that if you took your truck to a shop, what they would do and how they would do the timing, because adjusting your timing by ear, as they call it, or getting that last fine-tune adjustment to make the truck run its best without having dieseling or too much pre-ignition, basically starting too hard and getting, you don't want that ping. So what mechanics do at the shop is they'll use a timing light on this timing mark. You see this right here? This mark is marked at 0 usually. It's affixed to the block of the motor. Down here you have the harmonic balancer that's attached to the crank. Now I don't have my timing lined up for you. I'm just showing you that this is the timing mark on the block, and there will be one on this rotation assembly. With a timing light, you hook it to number 1 spark plug, and the timing light will flash just ever so momentarily. And when it flashes, it's amazing. I should get one and show you, but I don't even own one. When it flashes, the line may be down here when it flashes. And as you turn that distributor left and right, doesn't matter which. I mean, it matters, but you'll see it move. If you move it one direction, when that light flashes, the rotational mark may be down lower, or it might start moving up here closer to the 0. I don't have my glasses on. 0 might be here, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So you want to get those two lines pretty close to each other. Ideally, you want this 8 to 10 degrees before top dead center. What that means is there's degree marks on here. I think they go by 2, but don't quote me. So you'll have 2, 4, 6, 8. That might be this line here. I think I marked 8 in this TDC. Anyway, you want that 8 to 12 degrees before. That is called a basic timing. That is just basically what these motors run at. And with a timing light, you can make that adjustment. You can actually reach back and make the adjustment in real time and watch that secondary line move up and down to where you want it. This one was set at 8 degrees. I liked it better at 9, 9.5. Now, you don't need a timing light for this. You need to adjust it by hand, like I told you, back on the distributor to make it run the way your truck wants. But this is a great starting point to get it 8 degrees before that line on a TH350, or excuse me, a 350 GM motor. So if anybody's saying use a timing light, yes, use a timing light, get it close. But the fine tune is in the back on the distributor, using your ear and how the truck reacts. So there's basically how you do it. Again, this is not an exact science like people might lead you to believe. A timing light's cool to get you close, But the odds are you've been driving your truck, you're already close. I don't find an issue with that. An engine builder would tell you, well, new engine, you need to time it that way. You can pretty much line the two marks up and make sure you're at top dead center and set this on number one. I've never needed a timing light. I've never owned one. I think my grandfather had one when he passed away, but turns out that one was broke anyway. It worked intermittently, which really threw me off. So I don't own one, have never bought one. I have no need to buy one. They make fancy ones now that you can set the timing on it and it will tell you which 30 degrees with the vacuum line. I didn't get into the vacuum line, and you should unhook the vacuum line from if you had this one doesn't have it. If you got a vacuum advance on there, all that is high technical stuff, book work to say this is how you're supposed to do it. And in the end, if you want it to run right, you're still going to do this by hand using your ear and how the truck reacts when starting and stopping. We'll readdress it another day, but that's the basics. That's what you need to do. If you can't get that bolt loose, you probably have to buy a specialty wrench. It's $15 one time. You might find a cheap one somewhere. It's worth having one around anyway. Any questions or comments? Leave them in there. I'll read them. I'll answer them. If I said something wrong or you didn't understand, I didn't explain it well, just ask the question. I'll respond to you. It's not a problem at all. All right, that's it for Back to the Basics. I gotta go.